Are they going to win this thing? IDK. But I thought
they
this
better.
Well, okay. I'm so glad you said that.
Well, because it's how I feel.
I know it's how you feel, and you're totally allowed to feel that way, and I know you speak for many. So 888-957-9570, let's take your temperature. And I don't mean it the way that the doctor does it. I know there's been a lot of doctor talk. That's enough for today with the doctor talk.
Thank you.
But let's take all of our temperature with the idea of expectations. Because football, in many ways, sometimes NBA is this way too. When you feel like you got the best player and the best team, you go in going, well, we're probably going to win this thing. If we're healthy through the run, we should win this thing. And I would catch myself feeling that and thinking that in the last couple of weeks. The 49ers should win this thing. Is that a fair word to use as we go into this? Before you answer, let me give you this visual. Vegas will tell you right now that the chances of the 49ers winning the Super Bowl are similar to the chances of a great hitter coming to the plate and getting a hit. About 30 to 33% of the time. So Tony Gwynn's at the dish, or Buster Posey is at the dish, and you're sitting there with good seats behind home plate, and Buster strides to the plate, and you look at it and you go, you should get a hit. Hit or bust. Buster, hit or bust. That's something that I want to stop and think about for a second with regard to this 49ers run, because I think a lot of us feel they should win. If healthy, they're the best team. They're going to be favored. They're home. All of these things that are all true, but at the same time, it's technically less than a 50-50 proposition right now.
It's different, though, because...
How so?
It's a situation where you are heavily favored in this game, and if you win it, you'll be heavily favored in the next game, and then you play in a neutral field where you'll be favored, not heavily favored, but in a spot where you probably could win and you should win, you'll be favored to win that game. So it's kind of like being in a 3-0 count right now, and the odds of in a 3-0 count getting on base. It's a 3-0 count, and if you take any good hitter and it's a 3-0 count, should that hitter be able to reach base? Absolutely. And that's where I see them right now. Maybe it's a 2-0 count based on the 49ers and their odds, but against Green Bay, it's a 3-0 count against Green Bay, and you know a fastball's coming.
Well,
so you have a chance to either swing away or take it, and it's a strike. Now it's 3-1. And you've got another opportunity. That's how I think that this Green Bay game sizes up.
It's interesting you say that, though, because what you did was you sort of created a mutual exclusivity to the entire run. Vegas is saying 33% chance for the whole run.
Right.
And you broke it down week by week. And yes, week by week, they should win. But what Vegas is saying is each time, each week, that's another set of mathematics, if you will, that have to come into it. So how many times in a row should you say you should win? Because you say, oh, well, they're a big favorite. Well, they have been in every game. They haven't been an underdog this year. So they should be 17-0. And they should be undefeated, and they should win them all. So sure, they should beat the Packers. They should beat whoever's after that. They could/should, but this is, can they do it all? Can they do three in a row without any interruption, which is obviously hard, or else Vegas would not make this a sum gain for the bettors who right now can go bet on the 49ers to win the Super Bowl.
And it's what, plus 150 for them to win the Super Bowl?
I'll look it up where it's sitting right in that.
Their odds to win this Saturday, their percentage chance is probably 90%.
Pretty high.
So if they win against Green Bay, and then you go into next week, well, that whole 33% chance or 30% chance for them to win the Super Bowl, that goes up. And if they beat Detroit or they beat Tampa Bay, whoever they face, then that percentage will go up again.
49ers are plus 175 to win the whole
thing.
Banana.
Right, which is not even 2-1. It's basically 3.5 to 2.
Right.
They are the favorite.
Yes.
So
prohibitive.
If they beat Green Bay, I would imagine that those odds go down even a little bit more, probably to plus 150, depending on who wins in the AFC.
You want to take a gander at in order, top 5? You think you could do it?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Let's go, Randy. Come on. Let's rock and roll.
He's not ready for that.
That's okay. He'll get ready. We're radio hosts. We can talk for a second till he is. See?
Are you sure?
I knew we could do it.
Look at Grandy.
You can do it. Just put your into it.
My brain into it.
Let's go.
Well, Niners are the favorite.
Niners are the favorite. Who's the second favorite?
The Ravens are the second favorite.
Second favorite. Who's the third favorite?
Well, here's where it gets interesting because I don't think that it would be...
Ravens, by the way, plus 280. Second favorite. Plus 280.
I think that it would be Buffalo would be next.
Buffalo Bills is a correct answer. Plus 475. Next.
Now it's a coin toss between...
Come on, Ariana Grande. Let's go. Thank you, next.
Thank you, next. It's either Detroit or Kansas City. And I'm going to say it's Kansas City. Then Detroit.
Is correct. Very nicely done. The Chiefs are plus 800. The Lions are plus 950.
Jeez.
Take a gander at the jump from there. The Green Bay Packers are next at plus 2,500.
I was going to say 2,000, but 25 to 1, yeah.
Houston Texans plus 3,300. Tampa Bay Bucks plus 3,300.
Jeez. Tampa plus 33, and that speaks to, I think, Philadelphia. Because Tampa beats Philadelphia, but many people look at Tampa and that win and say, nice win, but you're a fraud. And the only reason why you're still around is because Philadelphia is a bigger fraud.
Let me tell you.
And you had it first.
Well, the thought process is that the 49ers are going to beat the Packers. Could be wrong. But if you go by that thought process, let's say Tampa pulls off a shocking upset. You have to follow that by then upsetting the 49ers.
Yeah.
And follow that by upsetting the Ravens or the Bills or something like that. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. You can make that infinity to 1, and I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers are not coming to Levi Stadium and winning a football game. They're not.
They're probably going to lose in Detroit by 2 touchdowns.
If the Niners beat the Packers Saturday and the Bucks beat the Lions on Sunday, I will make an embarrassing wager that the Niners will go to the Super Bowl. Embarrassing. I'm talking naked on the Bay Bridge type stuff.
Jeez.
I'm not saying that because that's illegal and I'm not that good looking. So we'll do something, though. Something absurd because Tampa Bay has zero chance to come into Levi Stadium and win a football game.
That spread, if it would happen, would be 14.5, I would bet. Tampa and the Niners. The Niners would be favored by 14 and a hook.
Unless something weird, right? Like, what's the reason behind it? Did somebody awful get hurt as the Niners beat the Packers?
Or the Niners get a fluky, ugly win and Tampa rolls Detroit.
I mean, what on earth?
Right? Jake Moody from 61.
Right.
And, they survive. Niners survive. And Tampa puts up a 50 burger in Detroit.
See,
I still think that spread is 14.5.
You might be right. That's why there is a piece of this. And you guys, you call me a wimp. And, here we go, Sally Struthers. There's a piece of this scenario that we're looking at right now that I don't love. I don't love because sports is magical. Okay? The journey, the storytelling is beautiful. We attach ourselves to these guys who we've never met because they're wearing our familiar jerseys and they play within our area. And so I understand all of that. But there's a piece of sports where you want to be surprised. Like, look at the Warrior Championships. We've all said the same thing. The ones with Durant are not as special as the other two because what did the other two do? They surprised us. You didn't see them coming. Sports is not as fun when you're looking at your team going, you better win. You better win or I'm ticked at you. That's not as cool, especially when I tell you that Vegas, which knows all, is telling you there's only a 1/3 chance that they do it. So we're sitting here demanding that the 49ers win when they mathematically only have a 1 in 3 chance of actually doing it. So we are a little bit setting ourselves up for negative emotion, which is A, the Niners don't win and we're angry, or they do win and we're, that's what was supposed to happen.
Football's different.
Is it?
Yes, it's absolutely different. As we've seen here, being 49er fans, nothing's guaranteed for anybody. And you look at Philadelphia last year. Philadelphia, they ran through the regular season, and then they dominated the playoffs, including the 49ers. They knocked out their QB. They went into the Super Bowl. They had the lead, and they should have won the Super Bowl, but they didn't. And now where are you? Now you are irrelevant, and your coach is having a meeting with ownership today to decide whether or not he keeps his job. So nothing in football is guaranteed. Yeah. Even though the Niners, quote unquote, should win the Super Bowl, in football, it does not diminish the accomplishment when you actually go out there and do it, because it's an oblong ball and it's 11 on 11. It's tackle football, and anything really can happen. And you might go up against, in the Super Bowl, if you make it, against the team that dominated you on your home field, and your quarterback threw 4 picks, and John Harbaugh has beaten you before in the Super Bowl. So if you get over that team, well, it's real. And if you beat Kansas City and you deny Mahomes a third, that's real. And if you beat Josh Allen, the pride of Fireball, that's real. And if you beat DeMeco Ryans, the student going up against the master,
that would be crazy.
That would be insane. Yeah. But no matter what the game would be, it's going to be fulfilling based on the fact that it's football.
I'm not saying it won't be fulfilling. I'm not saying that, because I do think that a 49er fan would look at this more as an overall picture of the Shanahan era as opposed to just this year. So sure, it would be fulfilling, because it's like you finally, like, enough with all the dancing around in the NFC title game.
Yeah.
Right? You finally got over the top. So I get that. I'm not saying it won't be fulfilling. I'm just saying that this is, it's a dangerous emotion that a lot of us are feeling. And I wonder how you would affix the word expectation to what's about to unfold. I go in with a healthy, yes, they should,
right?
For sure. They're the best team. None of us have minced words on that all year. I think they're the best team, but you also understand all of the different things that can happen, all of the good teams that they're about to play on some level or another. These are good teams. You don't get here today unless you are. The Packers are dangerous. Jordan Love is an interesting football player, who's playing really, really well. And so I guess that's sort of my takeaway. Like, I want to have enough respect for the rest of the league to not automatically only feel anger if they don't win. Disappointment, that's inevitable.
Well,
inevitable. But
there's no anger.
No,
I'm not. I won't. I mean, people can feel whatever they want to feel. If you feel anger, then maybe you're taking all this a little bit too personally. And if you want to feel disappointment, sure. And I know that anger and disappointment are neighbors, and it's a very fine line between disappointment and anger. And depending on what you do in your life and how much of your emotion is tied in. And I don't have a lot of friends with whom I talk trash to that level where, Steiny was mentioning Dana, his good friend, our good friend. He's from Milwaukee. He flies a Packer flag.
Oh, boy.
He'll be completely decked out in Packer gear. But if the Packers win, he's not going to be in everyone's face, running his mouth. And if the Niners win, we won't do the same. We're all a little bit older. And I think as you get older, you put a lot of these things in perspective. Now, if you're somebody who will feel that anger, then let it fly. And if you're going to feel disappointed, I get it, because you look at the final 8 teams and you look at the NFC, and you mentioned it yesterday, and you're right. This thing broke your way in a big way. The 2 big teams that many people are afraid of, sorry, Philly, not you, but LA and Dallas, they're out. Yep. And you've got Detroit, the new team. You've got Tampa, the flawed team, and Green Bay, the hot team. And you still should beat Green Bay. So it's okay, in my opinion, to feel disappointment. And if you lose in the Super Bowl, the disappointment to me is lessened. It hurts a lot because you were close, but if you lose this Saturday, the disappointment is far greater, in my opinion.
I completely agree.
Some people see it the other way.
Well, but there's something to be said for making it to the last game.
I agree.
There's a piece of my fandom. A larger piece is, did the Niners win? But there's a smaller piece, but a significant one, that just wants to experience every possible week.
Yeah.
Like, this, we're already making plans for the Super Bowl party. If the Niners aren't in it, I don't even know if I want to go. I'll get over it, and I will, but this is how I felt last year. Last year was different, though, because it fell apart with an injury, and we all felt robbed from even getting to watch the game that we thought we were sitting down to watch. But if the 49ers don't even make it to the Super Bowl, gosh, that's what I'm talking about. Like, at the same time, I can sit here and go, and because, by the way, I wonder what that is. What are the Niners' chances simply to make
to win the NFC?
To make the Super Bowl.
They got to be minus 150 to win the NFC. Odds to win the NFC.
Odds to win the NFC, minus 185.
Even bigger than that.
Minus 185.
So you got to lay 185 to win 100. So they're big favorites right now.
Yes.
To win the NFC. So if they don't win the NFC,
I'll be devastated. However, it's far from a sure thing. Far from a sure thing.
No, but they're odds-on favorite. They're big favorites.
Okay.
There's no Rams. There's no Cowboys.
I get it.
You got a hot Jordan Love.
You know what, though?
A flawed Tampa.
I thought they were the best team last year, and they didn't go. And
for obvious reasons.
Well,
Philly was better. You're welcome.
Don't you do that.
I did.